Hello there, everyone. This is Delana from Delana's Yoga Suite. And thank you so much for those who are joining me at this moment. But if you're not, feel free to watch this over and over again. I'm here at Delana's Yoga Suite live. And today I wanted to get into a pose, one that was specifically requested actually a while ago. And that's getting into the back bend, the wheel back bend. Someone had requested a pose for a demonstration a while ago, and I'm getting to it now. So thank you for the person that requested it. Also, feel free to let me know. You can send a message through the chats, or you can hit me up on the website and let me know if there is any pose that you would like a demonstration or a deep description on, or if you would just like to see a variation of a particular pose designated specifically for you, definitely let me know and we'll definitely get it loaded up here to YouTube. Sometimes we feel like that we need a pose specifically for us, and sometimes that variation or that description is not just for us, but other people may need that too. So it's not just helpful for you as the practitioner, but it can also help others who are interested in getting into the pose as well. So before I begin, I will do a little bit of a disclaimer for this pose. This will be a deep back bending pose. So if you have any type of severe back injury, such as you've just had back surgery, if you've had any issues with any slipped disc, if you've had a broken back, this is definitely not a pose to get fully into. I'll definitely go over on other variations of wheel pose that you can get into. So yes, this particular video will be going over wheel pose, the full extension of wheel pose. And we'll also get into other variations of wheel pose so that not only if the full wheel pose isn't fitting for you, there are other variations that you can get into to where you can get the benefits, but without straining or hurting yourself as well. This is a practice of yoga, so I'm definitely not a physician. I'm not a nurse practitioner. So if you have any type of concerns medically, physically, or medically, definitely consult your physician before continuing any type of practice of any nature, especially when it comes to yoga. So just a small reminder. But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and begin. As you can see, I have my mat right here. So coming to the mat, first and foremost, you want to make sure that you have enough space behind you to roll the spine down. And you also want to make sure that you have enough space for your hands and feet here. So first and foremost, we're going to walk our feet and heels to the very top part of the mat. So again, allow your feet and toes to press into the top part of your mat in any direction, whether it's the front or back. You definitely want to bend your knees here. Bend your knees, and you want to roll the knees and thighs together. So you do not want the knees to roll out to the side, because once we start to lift the body, you're going to feel the weight of the body really shift away, a little bit away from the feet. And we also want to make sure that we are able to lift the seat and hips. So when the knees are rolled onto the side, it makes it very difficult for the hips and seat to lift off of the mat and floor. That's what we're going to end up doing here. So press your knees and thighs at minimum hip width distance apart. Press the feet into the mat and floor. Go ahead and start to roll yourself down into the mat. And you definitely want a flat back here. Definitely flat back, definitely feet pressed into the floor here. And again, take your time coming into this pose, because in this wheel pose, we're going to be fully arching the spine completely along with lifting the seat and hips. So really be mindful and really do a self-check to see where you are with lifting the seat and hips and how comfortable you are with fully bending the spine. So first and foremost, we're going to go ahead and walk our heels as close to the seat as possible. You can allow the arms and hands to rest beside the body, and if the heels touch the fingertips, excellent. But if they don't, no worries. We just want the seat and heels to be as close as humanly possible. The knees and thighs are still kind of pressed together to the center. Your knees don't want to be rolled out, and I'm not going to roll mine out. So the toes are going to point forward. So if you have any back issues, if coming into a full arch with your spine is a problem, we want to remain here in our bridge pose. So before we get into the pose completely, we're going to start off by coming into our bridge pose here. So leaving the head and neck very still. The reason being is that we're going to start to shift our way from the lower body towards the upper part of the body. So with the arms and hands pressing into the floor, into your mat, press into your feet and toes, and tuck your hips and pelvis forward. This is going to help you elevate and lift the seat and hips. Press into the feet and start to breathe in and lift the seat, lift your hips toward the ceiling. Continue to activate the legs and knees by continuing to bring them together. Now, if this is as far as the body will allow you to go, hold here. You want to lift your hips and seat as high as possible, and you want to draw the chest toward the chin. It's very important to leave your head and neck very still here. Because we're shifting the weight towards the head and neck, you don't want to move the head because this can cause injury, because now we're shifting more of that weight towards the upper part of the body here. So we don't want to cause injury here. If this is as far as the body will allow you to go, hold here. You can interlace your hands underneath the body, pressing your arms into the mat and floor. If you feel comfortable with walking your elbows in, you can press your heels of the palms into the lower back, the fingertips pointing in the same directions of the toes, and you can help elevate and lift the seat and hips here. Again, be very gentle with your back here. So if you have any type of lower back or any type of spinal injuries, you definitely don't want to lift using the hands here. Just gently press the hands right beside the seat and body. Whenever you want to come out of this pose, you can slowly just slide the spine down, slide the seat and hips down as well. Feel free to rock your knees from side to side to kind of release the hips here. So that's coming to our bridge pose, coming to one variation of this back bend here. So this is one of my kind of favorite poses here. It's a really good, like I said, back bend here, but it also works with strengthening the wrists and the shoulders. And you're going to see in a minute. So here, we're going to come into the first step and come into a full wheel pose. So for those who feel comfortable with going forward, we're going to take our hands and fingertips. We're going to bend the hand and fingertips back. So you want to pull the fingertips and the hands back. And you want to lift the elbow toward the ceiling here. Very important. Walk your hands and fingertips underneath your shoulders here. So you really want that hand to walk as close to the ear, as close to the head as possible. And you want to press that elbow into the body as possible. So again, this is one of the reasons why if you have any wrist issues, this will not be the pose. If you have carpal tunnel syndrome, if you've had wrist injuries, wrist surgery, this particular pose is going to be very uncomfortable, very painful, so definitely don't do this one. Continue to remain with the bridge pose. But tuck the fingertips underneath your shoulders. Very important. This is part of your stability, and if the fingertips and hands are too far away from the body, your body will slip from under you when you start to lift, and gravity will pull you down, so you won't be stable. Firmly press your fingertips and palms in, roll the elbows beside the body. So we want to do this with both hands. Tuck the fingertips underneath the shoulders. Firmly press your palms into the mat and floor. Roll the elbows beside the body. Again, secure your hands and your feet. Very important. You want to make sure they're firmly pressed into the mat and floor. You don't want just the fingertips to press into the floor because once again, that's part of your stability here. So we want to make sure they're firmly pressed into the mat and floor. And just like we did in our bridge pose here, we're going to lift the thighs, the seat, the hips. Now we're going to start to lift the top part of the body. Again, get as comfortable, get secure, press your palms and hands here. And again, feel free to take your time coming into this back bend. This is a very, very intense back bend here, so take your time. Include your breath. Once you start to inhale, commit to your inhalation. Don't stop until you're fully arched. Press your feet and toes to the mat and floor. Press the palms. If you need to come here with stacking the head into the mat and floor, feel free to and take your time here. Kind of do a checklist. How comfortable do I feel here with pressing my palms and feet to the mat and floor? Are my feet and hips fully pressed into the mat and floor? Am I fully engaged here? Then you can remain here, and if you feel comfortable with straightening the arms, straightening the legs, feel free to. But if you feel comfortable with just holding here at the head, you can. But again, engage your arms and hands. To get into another version here, you can bend the elbows and interlace the fingers behind the head, pressing the feet into the mat and floor, and pushing back towards the head here. But press into your forearms here. To come out of it, lift the head, roll from the back of the head down into the mat and floor, from the spine into the seat and hips. And again, we want to gently come back into that normal position. So we're going to rock the knees from side to side, releasing that lower back, because we've done something very interesting with the full spine here. So as we lay fully here, we're rocking the knees from side to side. You can even draw circles, wrapping your hands around the shins or underneath the thighs. And engage your breath here. Now, then you can take your time coming in and out of this pose. Don't feel as if you have to rush. There's no time limit. It's all in what you feel comfortable doing and how comfortable you are getting into this pose. For many people that have come to the studio, this pose looks familiar because I have a picture of me doing it on the wall here. Doing this pose here, a variation of it. But we want to make sure that we feel comfortable getting in and out of the pose, but we also want to make sure that we're breathing. So anytime you lift your thighs, the seat, the hips, anytime you lift any part of your body off of this mat and floor, inhale. What this does, this creates buoyancy in the body. And once you inhale, continue with that inhalation and continue with that lift as far as the body will allow you to go. You have to commit to that inhalation because once you stop inhaling, gravity takes over and starts to pull you down. So definitely take your time here. So I'm going to come back into it. Definitely wiggle out the arms here, wiggle out the legs, the knees. Again, come into your back bend. So again, if this full wheel pose is very uncomfortable for you for whatever reason, if it's painful, if you have any back issues, don't force the body. Coming into the bridge pose, walking the hands right beside the body, the feet walking toward the seat. The head and neck is very still. I'm breathing in, pressing to the feet and toes, lifting the thighs, the seat, the belly button, rolling the chest to the chin. And inhaling, and once I'm at my limit, then I exhale and hold here. Press into the feet, press into the arms and hands, but I'm still lifting here, I'm still holding. I'm inhaling to lift, exhale to hold. Breathing in to lift, exhale to hold. So now I'm going to come into my wheel pose here. So I'm going to lower my spine a little bit because now I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to start to lift them above the body. Bend the elbow into the head and ears. Fully press the arms underneath the body, underneath the shoulders. Feeling comfortable with how I press the hands into the mat and floor. Once again, you want to secure your hands into the mat and floor, because if the hands are too far out, then your elbows will buckle and your body will fall. And if they're too close in to the body, if they're in an uncomfortable position, they'll do the same thing. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to inhale, commit. I'm going to adjust my feet because I feel comfortable doing so here. I'm going to adjust my hands. My seat and hips are lifting. Whenever I'm ready, I'm going to breathe in and lift myself to the head here. I'm going to come to a body check. Do I feel comfortable moving on? Do I want to straighten my elbows here? Or do I want to bend my elbows and interlace the fingers behind the head, pushing into the feet, deepening my arch of the spine here, but pressing to the forearms here. Still being nice here. Coming out, adjusting my hands again into the mat and floor, rolling the head down. So from here, because I've done quite a bit of back bends, I'm going to do the opposite of what I just did here, to kind of even the body out and bring my spine back to its neutral position. So a great pose to come in to counter this, coming into your hands and knees, is coming into your child's pose. So feel free to press the knees and thighs together, or separate your knees hip-width distance apart, allow the big toes to touch, pressing the seat back, lowering the crown of the head and torso. Now for me, I'm going to open up my knees here because I want to give my torso some space, but also give my spine and shoulders that openness that still may need. And I'm going to hold here for just a few breaths. This is a resting pose, so take your time here. Take your time in Balasana, child's pose. If you want to relax the shoulders, rest the arms beside the body. And soften the breath here. If you want to roll the knees together and fully release the spine, you can do that as well. Whenever you feel comfortable, whenever you're ready, just lift yourself up. Coming into hands and knees. Come back to your seat, come back to the mat. So this particular pose, wheel pose, make sure you come into a pose right after that to balance it. You don't want to do all back bends and then just go about your life. You want to come into a pose that kind of rolls you over and kind of bend the spine the opposite way, because once you bend to here one way, you want to bring it back to its neutral position by coming back the opposite way. So doing forward folds of any kind, whether you're in a chair, whether you're sitting on the floor, or whether you came into Balasana Child's Pose, that's also a great way to counter the pose. So we always want to make sure we take care of ourselves throughout this pose. Especially in doing this wheel pose, you definitely want to take care of the neck. If you do not feel comfortable, as you saw me bring my pose to my head first, if you don't feel comfortable with putting weight on the head, especially if you have any neck issues, then definitely do not bring that pose to your head. If you feel like coming into straight wheel pose, straighten the arms and legs immediately. But if you don't, remain in your wheel pose, remain in your bridge pose, and just kind of practice lifting and lowering the seat and hips there until you feel comfortable with putting additional weight into your hands and feet. So that's one thing you want to keep in mind coming into your wheel pose. You will be putting weight on both your hands and your feet. Both of those are part of your rooting. That's part of your stability within the pose. So this is just a little tidbit, another great pose to share with you to get into your sweet life. Once again, I want to thank everyone who suggested wheel pose. I really appreciate you guys, and I hope you have a sweet life. Thank you so much for connecting with me. I look forward to seeing you soon, whether it's here in the studio or online, connecting with you anywhere. If you have any questions, if you'd like to book a yoga session, I do have online sessions as well as in-person studios. You can also book a Thai massage session with me here in the studio, or I can travel to you anywhere. If you have any questions, or if you just like to know more about Delana's Yoga Suite, feel free to connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram at Delana's Yoga Suite. Full name of the studio, all lowercase. You can also just go straight to the website at delanasyogasuite.com. That's www.delanasyogasUite.com. Again, let's get into your sweet life. Thank you so much for connecting with me. May you find peace within and without. Namaste.